and welcome in to the Unnamed Sports Show. My name is Ryan. I'm joined by my hosts Jason and Jerry. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Feeling
good,
good,
man.
feeling good.
Doing
Let's
good.
go.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy
Happy
Yes,
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
happy Thanksgiving. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media at Unnamed Sports S. Our links are there in the bottom right corner. Make sure to leave us a review, comment, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for joining us today. So I think we're going to jump right into the NFL here. Crazy week in football this week, and we'll start off with last Thursday night. Bengals travel to Baltimore, and well, everyone thought this is going to be the first good Thursday night football game of the year. We got two perennial top teams in the AFC, and it ended up being the Injury Bowl.
Yeah.
Jason, like, what'd you think of like Joe Burrow out for the season, Mark Andrews ending ankle surgery? Like, is there any talk on changing like the format of Thursday night football? What'd you think of the game?
Honestly, as most people know by this point, I had a moon bet and that got shot out the window. So I just want to say I'm sorry to those people that put that in there, but you can't guess injuries. But that being said, regarding the football game, I don't think they're going to change it. I mean, I know they were talking about a lot of the flexing for these games, but I don't think they're going to change much of it. I think it's an unfortunate moment at that point.
Yeah, it's difficult to always tell, and it seems like lately the Thursday night production has not been very good, and I feel like with the shortened week, basically it's an entire walkthrough that week. No one's doing any hitting in practice. Nothing is ever at full speed, and then trying to turn around and play at that full speed is just a recipe for disaster. But Ravens take first place not only in the AFC North, but in the entire AFC with the Chiefs' loss. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Moving on to Sunday, we had the Steelers try to come into Cleveland. Let's go, baby. DTR, 1-1 on the season. I don't count that first one though, so I basically say 1-0. Credit to Stefanski and the rest of the offense or the offense coordinator Van Pelt for putting together a Big Ten West style showdown. 13-10. I think there was not. I think there were 17 punts, which is absurd for an NFL game. But they come away with the victory. We basically got offensive coordinator Matt Canada fired, so that makes me sad. Unfortunately, now they might have a competent offense. Kenny Pickett had 106 pass yards, which includes a 15-yard pass at the end of the game that got lateraled backwards. So, I mean, the Browns defense is just so dominant, sitting at 7-3, second in division, chance to go out and with the easy half of the schedule remaining, go ahead and win that division and get a good spot for the playoffs. I mean, Jerry, did you? I know you were watching Red Zone. You probably didn't see much of this game, but how do you feel about where the Browns are sitting right now?
Yeah, you are correct on that. I think they were showing on red zone like twice, and most of it was for the end of the game when they're driving down the field. But no, I mean DTR went in. He got the job done. He didn't play terrible. The one interception, wasn't his fault. Went off his receiver's hands. They had I think 20 more plays than the Steelers did, so they were able to take care of the ball. They kind of knew what they needed to do in that game. But looking forward, I mean, with a defense like that, you cannot count them out by any means necessary. And I know they got a big game this weekend against my boys, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Uh, Afterwards, we had the Raiders travel to the Dolphins. Dolphins win that 13-20. They don't look all that impressive. They still haven't beat a good team yet. We'll see where they end up going. Bears travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. And what a game that was, because if you just watched 3.5 quarters of that game, you go, yeah, Bears dominated. Bears destroyed the Lions. But that's why you play 60 minutes of football, right, Jason?
Agreed. What you saw from Justin Fields was great in the first 3-4 quarters of the game. Unfortunately, Jared Goff finally decided to play quarterback, and he was able to get some throws off and started playing a little bit better.
Yeah, the Lions scored 17 points in the final 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So, with a beautiful Aiden Hutchinson punt
Mm.
to end the game on the safety.
Boo,
Yep.
Michigan.
Crazy stat here, crazy stat time. The Lions are 8-2 for the first time since 1962.
That is absurd.
Insane.
61
Absolutely absurd.
years.
Insane.
So are the
Yeah.
Lions back? Some saying they are. Moving on, Titans travel to Jacksonville. Jacksonville gets a big bounce back win. Jason, how we feeling? Vibes high?
Offense looks good. Like you said, playing complementary football. Calvin Ridley shown that he can be an explosive receiver in this offense, and I think our other receivers, our tight ends and receivers, are good safe options to throw the ball to. We just need that little extra boost there, and I think we can get that from Calvin Ridley from here on out.
He looks pretty great. Chargers go to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. Packers win 23-20. Jordan Love had probably his best game, over 300 yards passing. The Cardinals take on the Texans. Texans hold on to win 21-16. But it was kind of Stroud's first bad day. Said after the game, Steph Curry, don't ever stop shooting. I'm going to keep letting it ride. Jerry, what do you think of the rookie quarterback and his confidence?
Hey, I did not cash out my MVP bet for the boy. I'm letting it ride like he's letting it ride. I think he's got it, man. 3 clutch wins in a row. The dude can play football. He proved it at Ohio State, and he's proving it right now. Tank Dell and Nico Collins are a tandem to be messed with right now. Let's not forget Dalton Schultz either.
Massive help, massive help. Tank Dell actually just officially changed his name to Tank. It was Nathaniel previously. It is now Tank. That is not a joke, by the way. That is legitimate news. Also, I heard a crazy stat right before we got on. I was telling them CJ Stroud last 3 games has had 260 air yards in each game, meaning he's had well over 300 yards passing in a lot of those games, but over 260 just the ball traveling in the air in all 3 of the last 3 games. Patrick Mahomes has only done that 3 times in his entire career, so he's really slinging it downfield. It's pretty impressive. How impressed have you been so far with the rookie, Jason?
I knew what was going to be like when my rankings came out for the draft. I had him at number 1. I've been impressed. Obviously, I think he's been playing as the best rookie quarterback to ever come in the NFL so far. I don't think really you can argue that. So, good things, and I think only better to come.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's exciting. Ohio State quarterback curse officially broken. I'm going to say it here. Cowboys. Cowboys go to Carolina. They destroy a really bad Carolina team. Still don't know about the Cowboys. Giants go to Commanders. They win 31-19. That was kind of a shocker. Sam Howell, 3 interceptions. Is that indicator? Is that an indicator, Jerry, that the Commanders are not as good as maybe we thought? I mean, we didn't think they were good, but thought maybe they're a little frisky. Are they not as good as we were thinking, or is it just the Giants have their number with their second win over them this year?
No, I think we alluded to it last week, but once they threw in the towel with trading Chase Young and Montez Sweat, we kind of knew they were on the fence at that point. And then once you trade those 2 away, they're bad. I know Sam Howell is leading the league in passing yards still. But man, that team, when you give up 3 passing touchdowns to Danny DeVito, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And then no hot water after the game in the showers either. They need to tear
Welcome to
that
FedEx
facility
Field.
down. Yeah, tear it down, build a new one, just to start from scratch.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Uh, and yeah, he's still leading the league in passes, but he's all passing yards. But he also leads the league in sacks. He's got several interceptions. Uh, Hard to tell if he'll end up being their franchise guy. Buccaneers go to San Francisco. They lose 27-14. It was a closer game than what's indicated by the score, but San Francisco is just balling. Brock Purdy, perfect passer rating that game for the first time since, I believe, 1988. Uh, Jets go to Buffalo. They lose 32-6. Bills are back. Jason, Bills are back.
Bills are back. Josh Allen is still sus, but Bills are back. I think the change in the offensive coordinator kind of helped. It looked like they had a little bit more flow in their offense, but for the most part, still questionable. I think they're going to be a playoff team, but they sneak into the wild card. Maybe, unless Denver continues this streak.
Seahawks go in and end up losing to the Rams 16-17, missed last second field goal. Vikings, the Pastronaut finally loses to the Denver Broncos off of a heck of a catch from Cortland Sutton. Um, Final score there was 21-20. How confident do you feel on this back end of the season, Jerry, for your Broncos to make a run?
Well, I mean, obviously going into the stretch where we're playing the Chiefs, Bills, and Vikings, I was pretty low, especially because we were 2-5 at the time. But after ripping off 3 big wins, some clutch wins, forcing turnovers, I'm still on the fence though because and we might get into it with the Browns Broncos game later, but 12 turnovers forced in the last 3 games and only 22 points off of those turnovers. 1 touchdown and 5 field goals. So I'm not 100% confident, but Russ is playing good football and we're making good adjustments, especially at halftime. So, you can never count out a team that's won 4 games in a row. That's hard to do in the NFL.
Very hard. And you got a big one coming up against the Brownies. Last on
Mm-hmm.
Monday night, Eagles went into Kansas City. They beat the team that beat them in the Super Bowl last year, 21-17. Wasn't the prettiest game, but the Eagles walk away. Sirianni's yelling at the fans
Yeah.
on the way out.
I don't
uh,
want to hear it anymore.
yeah, I can't hear you now. There was a huge drop with I think about 2 minutes, a little under 2 minutes left by MVS. Uh, Jason, do you think that the Chiefs? I mean, we're over halfway through the season, and the Chiefs still haven't figured out outside of Travis Kelsey who can catch the football. Are they going to get it figured out before the end of this year? I mean, that are they going to
No.
waste like this perennial defense that they finally have?
They're not going to be able to figure it out. I think they will have play to be able to make it to a championship or AFC championship or a Super Bowl, but they don't have that wide receiver on their team. Like they spent their offseason trying to get the offensive line together. They did figure it out. I mean, they get Jawan Taylor from the Jags. They draft a couple guys for the last few years, but they they need to spend that draft capital at the wide receiver position because they need a number one. I mean, you saw how explosive this offense was with Tyreek Hill, and you're not going to get a Tyreek Hill, but if you can get a number one option, a guaranteed number one option at the receiver and match him with Travis Kelsey, this team is ridiculous. But as of right now, they don't have that guy. It's not on that field.
It's unfortunate because someone like Patrick Mahomes, he is making a lot of his players better, but he can't catch the ball for them.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
he can only put it perfectly in their hands so many times. So it's definitely going to be a struggle. We'll see if they're able to figure it out. But with them losing, them and others dropped on the power rankings, some went up. Time to debut them. Mind you, our NFL power rankings a little bit different than most other NFL power rankings. All three of us create our own power rankings and then we aggregate them, use mean averages, math stuff. You know, if you know what those words mean, you're smarter than
Those are
me.
big words.
Yeah, I don't know, but we put it into the computer. The computer tells us, and that's how we know ours are the actual power rankings. So make sure to listen up. At the bottom end of the spectrum here, we have the Panthers remaining at 32, Patriots at 31, Giants at 30, Titans at 29, Bears at 28, Cardinals at 27, Commanders at 26, and the Jets at 25. Jerry, Jets, they looked really bad against the Bills. Do you think they're getting to a point where that defense is just not able to hold up anymore? Or do you think their defense is going to find a way to get a couple more wins, keep them right on the edge, and then Aaron Rodgers is going to come out with that brand new speed bridge Achilles and win them some games?
No. Let me reverse and ask you a question. How would you feel if you were on that defense, knowing that for let's say 80% of the game you're gonna get a stop, right? If you give up 10 points, you lose the game because that offense cannot score. Zach Wilson can't throw the ball, and he's definitely not throwing the ball because his butt got benched. And he's back to the third string behind Tim Boyle and
Watch
Trevor
out.
Siemian. Tim Boyle, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it kind of makes them not trading for a quarterback pretty dumb. I'm sorry. Continue what you were saying.
It's just, if I was on that defense, I would be upset because they were playing lights out to start the year, shutting down guys. I mean, they come in and beat the Eagles, but then you got a guy like
Beat
Zach
Buffalo.
Wilson and beat
They beat
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah, and we know this past weekend they got beat by Buffalo, but again, when your punter has a higher passer rating than your starting quarterback, I think it's time to give it up. Robert Salah was
Stardom.
backing Zach Wilson for too
You
dang
know where, boy?
long. Too dang long. He went about 11 weeks too long with that man, and finally he came to his senses. It's unbelievable that it took them this long to bench Zach Wilson. I mean, I'm glad they finally did, but when you're reverting to Tim Boyle again, what are you doing? What are you doing?
They're bad. Did you
What a
see?
joke!
He basically benched himself, falling on his ass, trying to walk onto the football field. Did you guys see that?
Oh, that
Yeah.
was amazing, amazing.
This is supposed to be a professional athlete. Hard to
Yeah.
watch. Definitely hard to watch. Moving into our next section, we have the Falcons at 24, Rams at 23, the Packers at 22, the Chargers at 21, the Raiders at 20. I went right to left instead of back to the bottom. My apologies on that. The Saints at 19, Buccaneers at 18, and the Colts, they're 5-5. They're number 17. The Colts move up 3 spots off of a bye week. I guess everyone around them kind of just went down. They got a pretty big one against the Buccaneers coming up. You know, what do you think of this Colts team so far, led by Gardner Minshew, a former Jaguar, by the way, with Jonathan Taylor there in the backfield? Jason, like, do you think that the Colts can really propel themselves into that playoff picture?
No, I think the AFC South is better than what we thought, and that's not saying much, but it is better than what we thought. With the Jags being number 1 and the Texans being number 2, I don't think that changes. That being said, they are starting to use Jonathan Taylor a little bit more. I think this offense still can win some games, but they're not going to be able to win enough to make it to the playoffs.
It'll be interesting to see. You know, I mean, that Minshew magic is real. Uncle Rico back there slinging the ball. You got Jonathan Taylor. I don't know, but they just released Shaq Leonard. Like, what's up with that?
Injuries, he doesn't look the same. His back pretty messed up. I don't think he's the same player like he was before. Like, he was definitely an all-pro type of guy year in, year out, and that was because he was good at the coverage, good at rushing. He played a lot like Michael Parsons, just not as athletically gifted as Michael Parsons. But with injuries that he's had, he hasn't looked the same.
Yeah, I thought that was a huge surprise. I didn't realize he was doing that poorly. And honestly, you're
He's not.
talking about they just paid him too.
Right.
They didn't try and trade. They didn't try and trade him. They just cut him. I don't know. I thought that. I don't know. I was thinking it
He,
might be something a little bit more, but
There
no,
weren't
he
even
was
any rumors at the trade deadline about him getting dealt
no,
anywhere.
that's
It
what I'm
was just out
saying.
of
Like,
nowhere.
he wasn't he wasn't doing as bad as like cutting him seems, right? But that being said, you pay a guy who is an all-pro player that type of money, and he's not going to be able to perform that. The NFL is a business. Like, no
Mhm.
matter as far as we go, it's a business. So they made a business decision there.
Yep.
I find it interesting. I don't really understand it, but like you said, it's a business. I don't own a team. I just make power rankings. So moving on to the next set of teams. Coming in at 16, we have the Bengals,
Excuse me.
15 Vikings, 14 Broncos, 13 Bills, 12 Steelers, 11 Seahawks, 10 Texans, 9 Cowboys. The Steelers just fired the offensive coordinator, so that's definitely like 5 spots plus, even though they just lost. We'll see if Kenny Kittenmittens can do anything
Where did
I
that name
stole
come
that.
from?
I stole that, by the way. That is stolen from uh, a show called Barry McCockiner. I'm not even joking. That is the name of the show. Go check it out. It's pretty funny. He calls me Kenny Kitten Mittens, so I did as well. But
All right.
Steelers come off of a loss. They fire their offensive coordinator. They uh, they look lost on offense. Their defense is filled with studs. They look lost on offense. They lose to the Browns. You know, is this something like? Do you think Tomlin's just going to finish right there around that 500 mark still, or do you think they're going to get someone in there, get Jalen Warren, their new running back, the ball a lot more, be able to get the ball to George Pickens, like? Jerry, does this Steelers team feel like they'll be able to breathe life back into their team, or do you think it's too little, too late?
No, I think Matt Canada was only part of the issue. I don't think Kenny Pickett is the guy. No matter how much you want to, try to fight for him. We saw that that third or fourth down throw against the Browns,
It
where
was so wide open,
he
no one
threw it
was
to the
there.
wide open 30-yard line, and that was all that was there. So if they can get the running game
Made a hell of
going,
an attempt to catch it.
yeah, he almost had it right off his hands. If they can get the running game going with Jalen Warren, who's shown that he has some explosive ability, breaking off a 75-yard run against a Browns defense that has done a great job of not giving up the big play this year, behind an offensive line that's also been shaky. Like I said, Matt Canada is part of the issue. There's a lot of issues on that team. Their defense is good. It's solid. When you have T.J. Watt, of course, you're always going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. And I just don't see it happening. And the AFC is just so strong right now. There's so many good teams in the AFC. It's going to be hard for them to fight for that 7th seed.
It'll be tough on the back stretch. Maybe they'll get Minka back. That'll help shore up the defense a little bit more. Did you see that stiff arm, by the way, by Jalen Warren?
I did not.
Oh, dude. He took Ronnie McLeod and said, I'm your dad now. I mean, it was like it was
Throw him out the club.
literally tossed out like 2 bouncers, one on each arm, thrown into the street, tossed out. It was bad. Actually, it ended up it was such a good stiff arm. It ended up putting Ronnie McLeod out for the rest of the year. So it was yeah, you hate to see that part, but the run was incredible. I hope they can't figure it out and end up losing the rest of their games. Moving into the top 8. These are the top 8 teams in the NFL, bar none. I don't care who you ask. This is the list. We have the Dolphins at 8, Jaguars at 7, Browns at 6, Ravens at 5, Lions at 4, Chiefs at 3, Niners at 2, and the Eagles reign supreme at number 1. Real quick, though, the Browns drop 1 spot from our previous rankings. And remember, this is an aggregate list. This is the correct list. But let's ask the guy that put them down 5 spots why, after they beat 2 of their rivals in back-to-back weeks for the first time in franchise history, they don't go up in the power rankings. Jason, why do the Browns suck in your opinion?
The Browns do not suck. The Browns just do not have a quarterback anymore. And if they
Ever heard of
continue
Dwayne
to play,
Robinson? Ever heard of him?
the Browns don't have a
Preseason in
quarterback
NFL history.
anymore. I said what I said. That being said, I think if they play any of those teams that are up there with the offense that they have, are they going to be able to keep up with the points? Yes, they can stop teams, but when you play those better teams, it's not as easy to stop you. I mean, you saw the big play with the Steelers, so you telling me these other offenses can't do that? I disagree. I think
All
you're
I'm
going to
saying is
see.
there's
I
2
think.
teams above him they've beaten. So just saying.
Hey, congrats. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. All right. What I'm trying to say is, yes, these are the right
Under that
numbers.
rock. Just do it again.
But why are my Jags at number 7? That's all. Anyways.
We know why the Jags are at 7.
Yes, because we got smacked by the 49ers. Anyways, my point. I do think the Browns are going to be able to make the playoffs. Shut up. Like I said, again, do it again. Like, would you be able to do it in the playoffs? I don't think so. Is my
That's fair
opinion.
enough. That's fair enough. I know we're just giving you a hard time here.
Yeah.
The Ravens there at 5, Lions at 4. The Lions 8-2. Like I said, first time since 1962. Pretty remarkable. The Chiefs and the Eagles played. Chiefs dropped behind 49ers. Jerry, I think you had them at 2. I had them at 3. Jason had them at 3. I would go back to you, Jason. Like, why do the Niners, in your opinion, and I agree with you, why do they hop the Chiefs this week, even though the Chiefs lose a real tight one to the Eagles?
Again, more consistency on their offensive end. They go out there. Brock Purdy has perfect passer rating. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's looking explosive. So, while the 49ers, I think, had one of the top 4 or 5 best defenses, I think their offense is playing like a top 5 offense right now as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think they're pretty dominant. And the Eagles, number 1. I mean, it doesn't look like they're quite the same Eagles team as they were last year, but 9-1 is 9-1, right, Jerry?
That's absolutely right. I mean, when they come out in a sloppy game against the Chiefs, both teams playing really bad. I mean, you got Mahomes throwing a interception in the red zone, and you have Kelsey fumbling. What was it, inside like the 10-yard line or something like that. When they're able to squeak out a win like that, whether Marquez Valdez-Scantling drops the ball or not, a win's a win, and you cannot apologize for that. And sitting at 9-1 atop the NFL, atop the NFC, it's a different ball game up there, man. It's a different ball game up there. That team's built different.
Built different.
Yeah.
These have been our NFL power rankings. These are the proper and correct NFL power rankings. Do not forget. But will they remain this way?
No.
We shall see. We have a couple games tomorrow. Tomorrow, as everyone knows, Thanksgiving. Woo! Happy Thanksgiving!
Thankful for
Congrats,
all.
everyone. We made it. We're here. We're gonna go eat some turkey. Slightly overrated in my opinion, but
Are you a
it is
dark
what it
meat or
is.
white meat guy?
Dark have to be right,
Dark is
Jason.
so juicy.
Amen. Amen.
It's just it's much tastier. The light meat is a little bit.
Dry.
It's just
Say
dry.
it.
Thank you. You said it.
Dry.
You
It's
said it.
dry. It reminds you of unseasoned food, you know?
Agreed. Agreed. Best side, go.
All right.
Best side.
Best side.
Okay. Mine's like a mix. Stuffing with a little of that dark turkey and some of them candy yams. And you just mix it all together and you just
Yeah, but that's cheating. That's several together. Jerry, what's your favorite side?
My favorite side, sorry, is it's kind of an unconventional one, and I don't know if I've ever had you guys try it, but it's my mom's homemade noodles. She makes them every
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, dog, and they are just
I've had them.
cream
Hey,
of the
Brandy,
crop, the
those are
best.
really good.
Yeah,
Fire.
the best. But if we're going traditional sides, I got to go with the green bean casserole. It's
Oh, dude, you
unbeaten.
stole the words right out of my
It's
mouth.
unbeaten.
It doesn't get any better than the green bean casserole. One time, my mom made not green bean casserole, and it was a travesty. I told her don't ever not make green bean casserole again. Um, uh, sorry. Back to you, real quick, Jason. That was an interesting mix. But if you had to just pick one, what are you picking?
It's all so good. I'm basic. I'm sorry. Mac and cheese. I'm basic. I'm basic.
Hey,
Actually, no. You know what? If my grandmother is watching this, if my nana's watching this specifically, your rolls, her rolls, soft, honey, like sweet, perfect, cooked perfectly every time. There's nothing better.
That's great. That's great. Real quick, not to interrupt too much. My girlfriend just texted me. She said, "I'm white meat, sad face." So
Tell
I
her
don't know about that one. All right, moving on into the actual reason we have this show, not to talk about food. We have some pretty big games. You know, it's a Thanksgiving tradition to watch some football. We have 3 games, and I think they kind of place them in order of what people actually care to watch. At first, you have the Packers at the Lions. The line right now is -7.5 for the Lions. Aaron Jones for the Packers, he's out, or doubtful. I guess he's doubtful. And then their left guard Jonah Jackson is probable for the game. Uh, Jerry, where do you see this game going? Do you think that the Packers, they're a little bit of a hot streak. They just beat the Chargers. They look decent against the Steelers. Jordan Love has his first 300-yard game. The Lions coming off of a kind of shaky, lucky win against Chicago. Jeez. Who wins this game in your eyes? Does it cover the spread? And what do you see happening?
Well, right there, you almost just said that the Lions almost lost to Detroit, which is correct. They basically almost beat themselves in that game. I mean, 3 picks from Jared Goff. That's not going to happen in this game. The Packers stink. They stink like rotten eggs that have been sitting in the fridge for 3 months, all right? They stink. Jordan Love is ass.
He didn't
He
say that.
sucks, all right? Jordan Love
He's
sucks. Yeah, whatever. But
He's butt. Jeez, Jerry.
whatever. The Lions got too many weapons for the Packers to deal with, man. Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery finally back. He punches in the game-winning touchdown last week against his former team in the Chicago Bears. I think 7.5 is not enough for this game. I think the Lions win by 3 scores in this game. I think they are going to dominate the Packers. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be all up in Jordan Love's grill all game long. Because that offensive line is not there. They cannot stop him. It's going to be an absolute slaughter. This is going to be a good first game to get out of the way, drink a couple beers, have some sides, some cheese and crackers before the good stuff comes out, and then we'll get into the afternoon games, which the second one might also be a slaughter. But no, this game it's going to be bad for the Packers.
I think I will say over the last 10 years, the Lions are 1-9 on Thanksgiving.
But they've
So,
never been 8-2.
Hey, that's true. You're not false. You have the 28th run defense in the Packers going up against the number 5 rushing offense and the Lions. I think Jahmyr Gibbs has a monster day. David Montgomery has a monster day. It's the PFF number 1 ranked offensive line. It's going to be, I think, like you said, it's not going to be that close, but then again, you never know. Any given Thursday, I guess, in this case. Next, you have the Commanders going to Dallas. That is a -10.5 line. I want to know how. I doubt there's been many lines this large on Thanksgiving, but the Cowboys going up against another crappy team. Antonio Gibson, running back for the Commanders, should be back. No, really, any other major injuries on either side. Is this a bounce back game for the Commanders, or do the Cowboys pile on, Jason, and add to their resume of teams that aren't very good that they beat?
Add one to the resume, boys, because Dak Prescott and this offense is going to rip them apart. Unfortunately, like you said, no major injuries. Antonio Gibson's back, but that doesn't do much for them. I think the Commanders are going to want to try to attack in the running game as well. I mean, obviously, they're going to pass the ball because most yards. But again, I think a lot of those are fluff yards. Once you get behind, it's easier to throw the ball, easier to get more yards. But towards the beginning of the game, I think Robinson is going to be the focal point, so I don't think Antonio Gibson is going to have much of a role to the end of the game. Dak Prescott is going to probably go for at least 250, in my opinion. We didn't see much from the receivers last game. I think we'll get a very good game from CD, and then everywhere else, everybody's been looking good on the like tight ends, receivers. Other than that, I think they've all been looking good. So I think they'll have an explosive game. Cowboys wiped the Commanders, unfortunately, and my bet hits. So
Hey, interesting fact about the Cowboys. So they're 7-1 against teams with a winning record with a plus 164 point differential. That is by far the largest in all of the NFL. They have the largest point differential overall in the NFL, sitting at 7-3. and I think their point differential is plus 127.
Mhm.
But they are 0-2 against teams with winning records with a minus 37 point differential, meaning when they play a good team, they lose, and they lose by a lot. When they play a bad team, they blow them out of the water. So
Mhm.
I guess we consider the Commanders to be a pretty bad team. Should mean the Cowboys cover the 10.5. I don't know though. We'll see. The
One quick
last,
note on this
yeah,
game. I know they've kind of tightened it up as of late, but with the amount of sacks that the Commanders give up, and how often
Micah.
Sam Howell gets sacked, Micah Parsons might kill him this game. He might actually kill him this game. Like
Yeah.
it might be like a 4 or 5 sack game for Micah Parsons. I'm thinking.
might be. I don't know. We'll see. I think right now Mike has really kind of slowed down the last few weeks. Not he's still been really good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not keeping pace with like T.J. Watt and Miles Garrett as far as
Mhm.
sacks go. Maybe this is the game he catches up.
Yeah, he's still double digits though. I think he's over
We'll have to look
10.
that up.
Yeah.
Fact check.
Put a pin in it. Fact check. I don't know how to work Google, but the last game of the day, 49ers travel to Seattle. Winner of this game takes the division, at least for the time being. This is the first time they're playing this year. Gino, according to Pete Carroll, will play. Kenneth Walker is probably not playing. And the Niners safety, Hufanga, is out for the season. Um, so kind of big injuries to both sides. I think as long as Gino plays, I think you're still getting the best shot from both the Seahawks and the 49ers. Brock Purdy, perfect passer rating last week. Seahawks lost mainly because Drew Lock, Broncos legend, came in and threw a pick.
The GOAT.
Is the line right now is 49ers -7. Seahawks break that, or are they covering, or are the Niners running away with it, Jerry?
I think the Niners are all the way back. We mentioned in our power rankings that you guys had the Niners above the Chiefs, and I still had the Chiefs above them. I was this close to texting you to change it when I woke up Tuesday morning. Um, yeah, the Niners are all the way back, man. It's amazing what happens when you get a guy like Trent Williams and a guy like Deebo Samuel back. Uh, just the way that they run their offense and how easy they make it look. It's astounding, and it's a big reason why Brock Purdy has a perfect passer rating in that last game. It,
Their whole team is wide open
it
every time
all
they
the
run a
time,
route.
every play, either Brandon Ayuk is getting into open space, Christian McCaffrey is breaking 5 tackles and busting into the end zone, or you got a guy like Deebo Samuel who gets a jet sweep off the edge and he's gone. It,
There was
it's
it's
amazing.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They were playing the Buccaneers, and literally Greg Kittle is wide open on every single play action play. I would have just ran that
Yep.
play over and over until he stopped. I mean, literally, it was like just dump it short. He runs for 20.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's how do you stop that team?
You don't.
You can't.
You heard him.
Yeah, Miles Garrett.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
too.
Exactly. And PJ Walker, dog, led us to victory. That
Yeah.
those will be all the games. That's all the games that'll be on Thursday. I think we all think that the team that is favored to win is going to win by more than they're favored by. It might be, unfortunately, a bunch of blowouts, but at least we'll be with family, we'll be with friends, and we'll have JJ's Moonshot bet to look forward to. Jason, what do you got for us?
It is time. Yes, I know you see that record, and it says 0-2, and it should say 0-3 because we lost Monday too.
We're not
But
counting that one.
oh, we don't count that one. Shh, just kidding. We're
Yeah.
0-2. Okay, listen, guys, listen. We haven't had hope. Thursday is the day that we win some money. All right, let me tell you what we got for this one. We have a moonshot bet that is plus 10,253. Easy money. That's about half as the last time. All right. Uh, We have Jared Goff throwing for 200 plus passing yards. We have Jahmyr Gibbs, 25 receiving yards. Sam Laporta, 25 receiving yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sun God, 70 receiving yards plus. Jahmyr Gibbs, 40 yards rushing. I'm going to explain these a little bit. The Lions, like we said, are going to dominate. So I thought safe bet. Goff always gets over 200 yards throwing. Even last game when he threw 3 picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, 25 receivings. You prop bet, cash money, easy. Sam Laporta, 25 yards receiving. I think we missed some of that last week. But this week, Jared Goff is going to have a brain. All right. And he's going to throw to one of the up and coming tight ends in this league and get 25 yards easy. First quarter, calling it. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 70 yards. Sleep. Jahmyr Gibbs, 40 yards rushing. Again, like Ryan said, Packers one of the worst running defenses. Easy. All right. And plus, this is like one of Jahmyr Gibbs' first like prime time games that he can show
It's
off in
true.
front of his
It's true.
fans. So I think this is going to be a show for him. Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. We have Brandon Ayuk 50 plus yards receiving. We have George Kittle 25 plus receiving yards, and then Sam Howell. Sorry, yeah, is that the same game?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Howell 225 yards. No, that's
Hey, you
they're
got
going
Commanders
against
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing the 49ers. So
Oh,
49ers,
you went
Christian McCaffrey,
backwards.
anytime touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, 50 plus yards receiving. George Kittle, 25 alternate receiving yards. So I'm just playing these games. Obviously, these are simple prop bets, nothing crazy. Christian McCaffrey always gets the touchdown stuff for 2 weeks ago. We don't talk about that. Brandon Ayuk, 50 yards receiving.
They still beat the
Again,
Jags by 31 points.
pain. Like, why do we bring up old stuff? You know, this is a new week, a new win. W in the chats. All right. George Kittle, 25 alternate receiving yards. Again, they have that unstoppable play. Kyle Shanahan is a master with tight ends. So these are all easy, simple prop bets. A little risk with anytime touchdowns you're always going to have, but it's Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey always gets the touchdown. All right. Then we got the next game. We have Sam Howell, 225 plus passing yards. CeeDee Lamb, 50 receiving yards. Jake Ferguson, 25 yards receiving. Dak Prescott, 2 plus touchdowns passing. Brian Robinson, 41 and a half yards rushing. And Dak Prescott, 225 yards passing. Honestly, like I said earlier, I almost went with the 250 for Dak. I think this is going to be an easy game. My issue is betting with the 250. If they go up by so much, they tend to take out their starters pretty fast. So we're going to go a little safe with that for the Moonshot, just because we want a win for the for the fam, for the friends, for the family. We're going to get it this time for the homies. We're gonna get it this time, I promise. But Sam Howell has the most passing yards receiving or throwing. I think he's going to continue towards the end of the game. Again, I think they start out running the ball. That's why we did the Brian Robinson line over rushing. I think he's going to hit that pretty early. They're going to get behind, and then they're going to start throwing. CeeDee Lamb, 50 yards receiving. Again, slow game last week. I think he comes back in before before this last week. He had 2 weeks of back-to-back, I believe, 150 yards receiving. I think he's going to have an amazing game this game. Jake Ferguson is another one of those tight ends that have looked very solid throughout the season. One of his favorite targets. So we're going with the 25 yards there. Brian Robinson, we already told you, hit the overline. They're going to try to slow down some of that pass rush that the Cowboys have and try to run the ball early. Dak Prescott is going to demolish this team. So 2 plus touchdowns easy, 225 yards easy. And that leads us to the moon.
Yeah, I like how you said we're going the safe route on a 5-digit odd bet.
Plus 10,000, baby.
Hey,
Let's go.
More is better.
Yeah.
Always.
Always.
This has been Jason's Moonshot Bet of the Week. All right, we move on to Sunday slate. We start off. We got Browns at Broncos. Browns traveling to Denver. They are 2.5-point dogs. This is Jerry and I's team. Both of us talking earlier, a little bit surprised that the Broncos were favored. If you had to guess, Jerry, do you think is it just the quarterback, or does Vegas know something we don't?
No, I think the only reason that the Broncos could be favored in this game is because the Browns don't have a quarterback. I don't think Vegas trusts in DTR just yet. Um, he's he's able to take care of the ball, uh, but he's not really making the explosive plays. And Denver, I don't understand why Denver is favored in this game because this is a horrible matchup for them. We're talking about the worst rush defense in the league going up against the third best rushing offense. Like Jerome Ford and that offensive line, DeJuan Jones, Joel Bitonio, those guys are going to absolutely take care of business and just gash that Denver defensive line, the front seven. It makes no sense to me why Denver's favored in this game. I know I am a Denver fan. I am going to ride my boys, but I can't. When I saw -2.5, I couldn't believe it. Just a terrible matchup for Denver this week.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that it doesn't make much sense to me in the way that Denver plays offense too. They throw a lot of short patterns, and the Browns have an extremely aggressive linebacker and secondary unit. I think that Russ is going to struggle, and I think
Mm-hmm.
the Browns are going to be able to run, control the clock, control the game, and DTR isn't going to be asked to do much. Remember, Kevin Stefanski had Jacoby Brissett as a top 10 quarterback last year. I think that, while DTR's decision making may not quite be there yet, his athletic ability and his accuracy is comparable to Jacoby Brissett and greater than Jacoby Brissett in a lot of instances. So to think that we can't get back there, I, I honestly, I think this would be a nice win for the Cleveland Browns. The other big game on Sunday, there's a lot of them, but this one for the division, we got two teams really hot in the NFL right now. And as a matter of fact, the third member of our crew here's favorite team, we have Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Jaguars 1.5-point favorites on the road. Jason, what do you think about the Jaguars defense going up against the hot rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud?
I think we have more film on Tank Dell and more film on CJ Stroud, so I think we will be able to devise a better plan against them. If you guys remember Tank Dell's first game, first really explosive game was against us. He had, I believe it was 7 catches. Let me see. Yeah, it was 5 catches, 145 yards, and his longest was 68 yards. So I think we're going to have a better game plan going in on defense, and then I think our offense is playing a lot better than it was, which it didn't play bad the first game. We just weren't able to get in the end zone as much.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. I think that the Texans too are coming along on the defensive side of the ball. D'Amico Ryans has the boys buzzing around. Do you think that Trevor Lawrence? I mean, his progression this year isn't. I don't think he's quite as dominant as he was at the end of last year. I mean, what do you think? I think he's kind of still needs to take that next step.
I would disagree. I think
Okay.
to be honest with you, he's been playing better. Like if you saw again, last year his biggest mistake was in the red zone. He would always make the forced throws. Last game, what did he do? Rush for 2 touchdowns. I think he is being a lot better with his decisions. The issue I think that we have this year is our offensive line is worse. We don't have Jawan Taylor, which I wasn't that happy with having Jawan Taylor, but now that he's gone, I can understand why the Chiefs picked him up. And Cam Robinson, I don't think is playing at the level he was playing at last year, and obviously being out at the beginning of the season. But this is still the 31st worst ranked offensive line. So I think he is carrying this team and hiding a lot of the flaws that you're not seeing, that you should be seeing, like from an immature or a younger quarterback. I think he has taken steps to be more consistent, and I think he's getting the ball to the right people at the right time. So I do like what I'm seeing for Trevor. I think he did take a step. It's just you don't see it as much because it's not on the stat sheet.
Jaguars win.
Jaguars win.
take it to the bank. Should be an exciting week in the NFL. Can't wait to see what happens. We got games Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. Doesn't get any better than that. That has been our NFL talk today. Thank you guys for following along. We're going to shift gears and head to college football. Massive Saturday coming up. We're going to lead off with our top 10 teams in college football right now. Similar to our power rankings, the three of us all rank what we believe to be the top 10 teams in college football. We take the same algorithm that is magically generated online and it spits us out these top 10. So you know that these are the perennial top 10 teams in college football. Right now, we have Penn State at number 10, Louisville at number 9, Florida State all the way down at number 8, 11 and 0, number 8.
Huh?
Oh.
Huh?
What do you mean?
Texas at number 7, Alabama at number 6, Oregon at number 5, Washington at number 4, Michigan at number 3, OSU, go Bucks, number 2, and Georgia remains number 1. This week, we all kind of had Ohio. Jerry said Ohio State at number 1 the entire time, but uh, Jason and I had hopped Michigan. Ohio State hopped Michigan. Jason, what led you to that decision this week? Because obviously we both felt that way, and Ohio State in our rankings now the official number 2 team.
I think we're starting to see the kinks in the Michigan offense, and where we can, as a better defense, I think than they have played all year, win the game for us. I don't think they're earlier watching them play not as good teams. I was still impressed. I'm still impressed with how JJ McCarthy is able to throw the ball, but you can see where they're missing some of their plays and some of their coaching, I think, as well. So that being said, I would say coaching kind of does take an important impact into this, and then I think Ohio State has also been more consistent on offense and defense and running the ball. We've hit all three levels and come out early and played through 4 quarters.
Jerry, what is the lowest ranked team that can make it to the playoffs?
Uh, Man, it's tough to count out, or it's tough to not count out Florida State. Um, you really hate to see a guy like Jordan Travis go down like that with such a gruesome injury. Obviously,
Prayers to him. He's
yeah,
in a
wishing him
recovery.
nothing but the best, speedy recovery. Uh, but I mean, when you're undefeated in college football, there's a lot that can happen. You could see 3 out of the 4 top teams lose this week. It's possible. It can always happen. And if Florida State remains undefeated, they can hop into that spot. We've seen it done in the past with your guys' Buckeyes and Cardale Jones. They were able to go on and win a national championship with them. So anything can happen on any given Saturday, not Sunday.
It's I think the committee's just hoping that Florida State loses to Florida or Louisville in the ACC championship game because I don't if Florida State finishes undefeated
They
and
get
they're an ACC championship, how do you not put them in? Like that's in my opinion pretty ridiculous to some extent, but also they're missing their star quarterback. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll
Mhm.
be interesting to see. We have um we kind of have decided to move away from our sleeper picks for the Heisman. I think it's really finalized into the top 3. It is Penix at 1, Jaden Daniels at 2. I'm sorry, top 4. Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 and Bo Nix at number 4. I think all of them have stages and opportunities to go out and win the Heisman. Jaden Daniels being the only one whose team really isn't in the mix. Jason, what do you think of the 4 listed? Who do you think is the most likely to win the Heisman Trophy this year?
I'm gonna stick with my guns, and the reason why we have Bo Nix at number 4, I think that man has the best opportunity and has shown the most from these last few weeks to be able to come out and win the Heisman. He's going to have another rematch game against Washington. I think he'll be able to step up and show that he is the Heisman and the best quarterback.
Yeah, he's pretty talented. Most starts of any player in the NFL in the NCAA with I believe 58 now. 58 starts as a college football player. Absolutely absurd. Jerry, if you were a voter for the Heisman and also could see the future, who do you think wins the Heisman Trophy?
It's tough to not give it to Michael Penix. When you're undefeated, leading a team like Washington, especially last week in a bad weather game, which thanks Michael Penix, you lost me about $50. So we might get into that later. But in a bad weather game against Oregon State, he's able to go on in a tough game in a tough environment and shut the critics down and win the game. The guy's playing lights out except for that game, and he's leading the nation in almost every single stat at the quarterback position, I believe. Maybe outside of rushing, which obviously Jaden Daniels is just having one heck of a season. It's too bad that he's on a 3-loss team right now.
He
But
passed
Michael,
Penix in passing yards.
I don't think he has.
Yeah,
We might have to stat check that. Um, but yeah, Michael Penix again in Washington just playing absolutely lights out right now. Like I said, even in a grubby game last week, able to pull out the win, to remain undefeated. If they go on to beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game and sneak into the college football playoff, then the Heisman is his, no doubt about it. And I
I
can see
have
into the future, so I'm giving it to you right
Penix
now.
is winning.
Yeah.
Penix has been all right. Everyone, put your money on Penix now. Also, I apologize for interrupting there. I was thinking you're talking about Bo Nix. Yeah,
Oh no. Yeah.
Michael Penix still is the leader in passing yards. So,
Yeah.
um, and I think honestly, Penix probably has the best chance. But the best player in college football, which is who the Heisman should go to, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. He is by and large the most dominant, best, most unguardable player in college football right now, and potentially, I, I don't know many players that have been more unguardable than he has. So he's amazing to watch. It'll be amazing to see him this weekend, which leads us into rivalry week. We have so many rivalries, but only two we really want to talk about. We have the Iron Bowl. We have Florida State. We have Ole Miss and Mississippi State. And I apologize, Florida State versus Florida. So battle in Florida. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Washington versus Washington State. Most all of these are going to be massive blowouts. But the first one we're going to talk about is the Civil War. A platypus trophy. Perry the platypus trophy.
Perry, Perry the platypus. Trope.
Another name for the Oregon State rivalry is the battle for the platypus trophy. Oregon's the Ducks. Oregon State are
If you
the
don't get that
Beavers.
reference, you are
Yeah.
too young.
Yes, too young to be watching
Sorry to
this
you.
show.
Are too old.
Right now, Oregon State
Yeah.
ranked at 15. Oregon's ranked 6. Oregon double-digit favorites at home, 13 and a half points. Right now, the overall record is 66, 55, and 10 towards Oregon. Oregon State did win last year in a tight one, 38-34 at home. Uh, right now, the Beavers are kind of that middle of the top tier of teams. They're not absolutely outstanding on any particular side of the ball, but they take care of the ball. All three of their losses have come by 3 points or less. DJ Uyunglele, 20 touchdowns,
Nice.
6 picks. I know I nailed it. I
Crush
practiced,
it.
guys. I
Clean.
practiced that
Clean.
name before. I was like, I'm gonna say it, so I got to know it. 20 touchdowns and 6 picks, over 2,400 yards passing. They had Washington on the ropes last week in a good comeback game in the rain. It'll be interesting to see them play this weekend. Jerry, do the Beavs have a chance against the Ducks this week, or is Bo Nix and that relentless offense and very consistent defense going to be too much?
No, I don't think the Beavers have a chance this week. I find this line very interesting considering Washington were dogs last week against Oregon State. Granted,
Oh,
it was in Oregon State. Washington was on the road. You got the Beavers on the road this week. But a 2-touchdown swing is what we're talking about here with Oregon. I think Vegas might be leaning a little bit more towards Oregon when it comes to the Pac-12, just based on that line. And I think that's they're making a good point if that's what they're thinking, because Bo Nix, when it was a couple weeks ago, I saw the stat line: 2 for 2, 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. unreal. And they got a guy like Troy Franklin. I apologize, I'm not as well versed as my co-host Ryan with that quarterback name drop right there.
DJ Uyunglele. Quarterback name.
Say it again. Say it again.
One more
DJ
time.
Uyunglele.
There it is.
Ooh.
But no, a guy like Troy Franklin with Bo Nix throwing to him, that dude is fast. He'd probably be on the Dolphins at some point in his NFL career.
Oh God, please. No. The last thing I want. Actually, second to last thing, Marvin Harrison, and then him.
yeah, there you go. No, I think Oregon airs it out this week. I think they're sitting the starters come middle of the third quarter. I think that's how much they're gonna blow out Oregon State this week, and then they're gonna prep for that Pac-12 championship game against Washington here in a week and a half or so.
The Ducks will take home the Perry the Platypus Trophy this year, I think.
Perry the
And that-
Platypus.
That leads us into the game. Ohio State travels to Michigan. Yeah, exactly. Michigan, 3.5-point favorites at home. The 119th meeting of Ohio State and Michigan. Michigan leads right now 60 to 51 to 6, 6 being the amount of ties. This right here is going to be a defensive battle. The two top defenses in the NCAA going head to head. Michigan right now, 2-game win streak, have beaten Ohio State last year in Columbus and the year before that in Ann Arbor. The Buckeyes, they seem to be getting hot at the right time. Michigan, a little bit of a decline. They got a lot of drama going on with Harbaugh. Is this Ohio State's year, Jason? I think you and I both agreed throughout the entire season with Michigan so dominant. They're probably the best team in college football. Last couple weeks, not so dominant. Is Ohio State gonna? Is Ohio
Not
State
another
gonna?
one.
It always comes back around.
Is this Ohio State's year?
I think this is Ohio State's year. Again, I think the biggest things that we were lacking previously in previous years was defense, and that's because of just knowing the defense that Knowles wanted to play. I think we were out of position on a lot of plays. If you remember the counter play that Corum broke off for 60 plus yards last
Yeah, I
year.
remember.
Yeah, pain. Defense was out of play, out of position. A lot of blitzes were called, and there were players that couldn't handle single coverage. I think we have better corners, better DBs, better safeties. Lathan Rayson being out hurts, but we do have Sonny Styles, and he's been looking like a monster. So I do hope to see better defensive play from us this year, and I do think that there is a kink in the Michigan offense, and I think we can find that and attack it pretty well.
Travion Henderson averaging 6.75 yards per carry since he's come back. Eichenberg questionable but should play. So those are two key players whose names aren't Marvin Harrison Jr. that I think can make a massive impact in this game. Michigan right now, number 1 scoring defense, number 1 total defense, number 2 pass defense, but they are without Jim Harbaugh. I do think Jim Harbaugh. Which one's I don't know. Jimbo Harbaugh. Without him, I do think that makes a difference. I think, unfortunately, it's a lose-lose for Ryan Day. Ryan Day beats Michigan. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you could beat them if they didn't have Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines. And if you lose, it's going to get real loud in Columbus.
Real hot
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
heat.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because you talk about a guy at that point who will have 7 career losses. 7.
Yeah.
That's it. I believe he'll be 54-7, and he'll be potentially fired just because he's lost to that team up north. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Ohio State pulls out the win. Real quick, Jerry, Ohio State or Michigan this weekend?
Look, I am not an Ohio State fan by any means. You guys know this. I was born an Ohio State hater. I will always be an Ohio State hater, except when the clock strikes noon on Saturday. I'm rolling with the Bucks. I think Marvin Harrison has his biggest game as a Buckeye this weekend. I think it is his time to shine. Kyle McCord has matured so much this year, I mean, when you looked at him in their first game to looking at him now this season, it's a night and day difference. Marvin Harrison is gonna he's gonna tear it up. Kyle McCord is gonna get him the ball. And shout out to my boy Cade Stover and Ryan Day. Last weekend I had Cade Stover over 3.5 receptions, and Ryan Day took out the starters halfway through the third quarter. Okay, halfway through the third quarter. Cade Stover had three receptions. Three receptions. They put in a triple tight end package on the goal line and play action, throw it to my boy Cade Stover. At the end of the third quarter, give me my fourth catch I needed, baby. That's why I'm rolling with the Bucks this weekend. That simple fact right there, even though I lost the whole parlay, but hey, it don't matter.
Team of Destiny. Team of Destiny.
Listen, if y'all would have heard his scream for not even having win the total parlay,
the swing and the amount of depression to the amount of joy that I had was off the rails. It was off the rails. Okay.
Oh my god!
It's great when your dopamine is tied in with whether or not you win or lose a parlay. I think that means you're living. That's called life, man.
Yeah.
That's called life.
Living on the edge.
Our addiction.
What?
Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, exactly. It should be a great weekend of college football. It should be a great weekend of football in general. I can't wait for it. That wraps it up as far as college football goes. Moving on to a sport we didn't get to talk to last week in our first ever episode, but we're going to talk about it now. To the National Basketball Association.
Playing basketball
all around the world.
We love that basket. To
the beach,
all around the world.
The in-season tournament is well underway. So far, so for those that don't know what that is, this is the first year the NBA is doing what's called an in-season tournament. Every team in each side, the East and West, has been split into 3 different groups. Everyone in those groups plays each other. Everyone plays 4 games. It's like in a round robin style. And then the top team from each of those groups, as well as one wild card team from each conference, so one from the East, one from the West, moves into a 8-team playoff, and they play for a trophy. I'm not exactly sure what. Is there any other implications other than you just get a trophy?
I think every player gets $500,000, and the coaches as well. So
nice. That's pretty cool.
I think that's it though.
Okay, it still gives a little bit more levity to the beginning part of the season, something to kind of get the viewers interested. Those courts that they're playing on look disgusting, but at least it gives us something to talk about. The current, I'm not sure. The current leader, or are we doing? My goodness, I lost my spot here. Sorry. Going to recap last night's game. There was 5 games last night. All of them went well. I apologize for that, folks. The Jazz went to I think it's the stamina. At the end of my show last time, I started having I couldn't focus and
we
gotta get you like
going from DJ Ugavulele, whatever the hell his name is, to that, man.
That's tough.
Hey,
that was tough.
You get the best of both worlds on this show.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That was embarrassing. Hardcore cringe for everyone watching. So the Jazz played the Lakers. Lakers ended up winning 131-99. The Blazers go to Phoenix, aren't able to keep up with them. 120-107. The Pacers beat the Hawks on the road in the largest over/under since 1991. They win 157-152. The Cavs are able to pull out an OT victory against the 76ers, 122-119, and the Raptors end up losing to the Magic on the road, 126-107. So how is LeBron, jumping back up to the Lakers Jazz game, LeBron is still putting up incredible numbers. Right now they're 4-0 in the in their round robin tournament for this mid-season tournament. How is he still able to keep doing this, Jerry?
It's the dude does a great job of taking care of his body, first of all. But it's not only him now. He's got a guy like Anthony Davis who can kind of dominate the floor when he wants to. He does have his stretches where he doesn't, and
Day
he's
to
got
day Davis.
got the nickname Anthony Day to Day Davis because the dude always gets hurt. He'll find a way, I promise. But he's got a good supporting cast around him. D'Angelo Russell is having a really really good season right now, really distributing the ball very well. But LeBron's doing what he does best. He drives to the bucket. If he's inside of 3 feet, it's an automatic layup. It's going in, no questions asked. He's doing a great job of kicking it out when he needs to and finding the open guy. And every time he draws or every time he drives to the bucket, he's drawing at least double team because that's the only way you can stop him.
Mhm.
At this age, I don't know how he's doing it. um,
You can't
I'm
keep getting away with
you
this.
can't. I'm pretty sure when I'm that age, I might be dead. So it's unfathomable. There's a reason why he's considered the top two, one of the top two greatest players of all time. We can have that discussion at a later date. But at this age, it's crazy, and the way they're going, I wouldn't be surprised to see them playing for another championship this year.
It'll be interesting to see how long he can keep it up. The Pacers were able to win a tight one and a very high scoring 157 to 152. That's not in overtime. That is in 100% regulation minutes of an NBA basketball game. Absolutely insane. Jason, is Halliburton a top five guard in this league?
Absolutely. Um, 37, I believe it was, and 16.
Yeah.
37 and 16. Come on now. Like, uh, his playmaking is his best feature, but he's still able to go out there and drop 37. So, like, I think he has one of the better sizes for a point guard as well. Um, there's no flaw in his game. So, I believe, yes, he is a top five guard in the league right now. I'm not going to give you my list because I will get some hate for all of it. But, yes, he is top five for me.
He's been pretty unbelievable so far. And then the Cavs able to beat the 76ers overtime game, very tight one, 122, 119. They haven't had Donovan Mitchell for a couple games now, is that right?
I think
Mhm.
3 games he's
Three.
been
Three
out. He's got a
games.
hamstring injury. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're able to pull out the win. Evan Mobley has looked amazing the last 5 games. They're 4-1 in his last five, averaging a double double in those games. Jerry, do you think the Cavs are able to kind of make a run in this in-season playoff, or do you think they still need to get a little bit more, a couple more games under their belt, a little bit more fluidity with the um, with Donovan Mitchell coming in and getting back in the lineup?
No, I think when you can have back-to-back games against the Nuggets and the Sixers without your top player and beat them, that speaks volumes. They were able to get Jokic into foul trouble against the Nuggets a couple of nights ago. This didn't count towards the in-season tournament; it wasn't in group play. But the Nuggets are defending champions. A very tough team to play against. Like I said, they got Jokic into foul trouble. That gave Mobley and Allen the opportunity to absolutely dominate the floor, which they did. I think they won that game by 20 something points. Like it wasn't even close. And then this game against the Sixers, they were up by I think 18 at one point. They kind of let the Sixers get back into the game. Tyrese Maxey was really having a nice game, as well as Joel Embiid, and they got Embiid to foul out in overtime, again giving Mobley and Allen the opportunity to win me and Jason some money last night. So it was really nice. But
All
yeah,
about
they
that cheddar.
they absolutely have a shot to make a run and win this inaugural in season tournament.
They're right on that bubble. Um, not quite in the leader spot, but if we show the graphic here, right now in that Eastern Conference, you have the Pacers, who I believe have already clinched a spot. Is that correct?
That is correct. They have won
Yeah.
their group.
Yep. So the Pacers have already clinched. And then you have the Bucks and the Celtics right now that are looking like they're going to make it. On that, the wild card as of right now is the Heat at 2-1. That's because they have a plus 13 point differential versus the Cavs and the Nets having +8 and +6.
Is
So
that what the tiebreaker is? Point differential?
yeah, point
Okay, I didn't
differential.
know that.
Yeah, so right now the Heat, if the tournament was to start today, the Heat would be the team in that wild card spot, but still one more game for a lot of these teams, two more in some cases. Um, and then right now in that Western Conference, we have the Lakers who are 4-0. They've already played all their games. They're already completely locked up.
Wow,
The
plus 74 point differential. Holy crap.
Yeah, they are
Crazy.
absolutely annihilating teams. The Kings, excuse me, the Kings in the third group, Group C there, and then the Pelicans in Group B. Right now, the wild card team would be the Timberwolves. They're 2-0 with a +10 point differential. They still have two more games left. And then right there on the bubble are the Suns, the Nuggets, and the Warriors. The Suns right now with a +13 point differential. I would imagine if they win the next one, they'll probably be in.
Mm.
Um, but it's tight. It's tight on both sides, and it'll be interesting to see who can win and who can win in the most dominant fashion. Because it seems like with that point differential being the equalizer, that's going to matter a lot going down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of bums me out. I just said the Cavs were up by 18 last night, and they only
Yeah.
ended up winning by 3 because that's the difference right there. They're only 7 points behind the Heat. So if they had maintained that point differential, they would be in that wild card spot.
Jason, you have to pick one team to win this in-season tournament.
Excuse me.
Who looks the most impressive right now to you?
Um, to be honest with you, I think it has to be the Lakers. With that plus differential, that's insane. They're also just the most deep team right now, so I think they're able to switch out one and two, their ones and twos, and throw everything at people. And they have a small ball lineup. They have a big, like tall bunch of tall people to come in. So I really think it's the Lakers. The way LeBron's playing, um, it's gonna be difficult to beat them. And AD's only been improving and been consistent, which is what you really want from him. They did lose Cam Reddish last night. That might be
Mm.
for a couple games. He's been, I think, the most important factor to other than LeBron, obviously himself, playing as well because he's able to take any any stud offensive player, and he's been able to lock them down, getting a bunch of steals lately. So they will miss that, but they do have a really deep lineup right now. So
It'll be interesting to see. I think the Lakers are really doing something special. It's pretty unbelievable what LeBron is able to still do. Jerry, one team picking it. Who you going with?
Oh man, dude, I got to go with the Kings. The Kings are just they might not be the best team in the league right now, but they are, I think, by far the most fun team to watch. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, that duo is unreal. And then you got a wing guy like Harrison Barnes who can just he can either jump out the gym or he can get it wet from three. The, they are eh, they are just so fast. De'Aaron Fox specifically, he is by far the fastest player in the league, but they
oh
are
yeah,
so fast and they score so many points. It's just one of the most fun teams to watch. Obviously, like I said, they're not the best team in the league. I think their defense is still lacking a little bit. But yeah, if I had to pick one team that can make a run, it's got to be the Kings. And it's also exciting to see a team like the Kings and how fast they've turned around their franchise within the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Getting into the playoffs last year, and it's also been a nice change of pace to see the NBA change it up and go to an in-season tournament where this time of the year everybody's watching football, and a lot of people think, oh, basketball doesn't really start until Christmas. Well, that's not the case anymore because you got this in-season tournament that kind of means a little bit, and it gives a little competition to the league. So I like to see it.
I still think basketball starts after Christmas. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is really interesting. If you had to give me one team, don't call me a homer. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers. I haven't watched a lot of basketball, but I like the Cavs, and so I'm picking them. And you can't take that away from me. Uh,
I
Thank you,
like it.
everyone. That'll wrap up our talk on the NBA. As the season progresses, we will obviously get better ourselves. I won't stumble like I did, but we'll also start to be more spend more time talking about basketball right now, kind of given that I mean the tournament really hasn't even gotten underway, so we're not
Right.
spending a ton of time talking about that. But we will shift our focus in that direction as it becomes more prevalent. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media at Unnamed Sports S, and please comment, share, whatever you want to do. We really appreciate you spending the time with us today. Uh, Jason, what do you got to say to the people?
Talk to me on social medias. I be lonely on there sometimes, so I send some funny clips. I have funny memes. All right, so talk to me.
Exactly, Jerry. What? Tell the people how you feel.
Man, I could not be more excited for Thanksgiving. Go enjoy Thanksgiving with your families. Take this time to eat a lot of food, drink some beer, watch some good football this weekend. It's gonna be exciting.
It will be exciting. Thank you again to everyone, and we will see you next time.